Good afternoon, welcome. I'm Peter Knutson, an NTSB Media Relations Specialist. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy, Homendy, will provide information on the NTSB investigation into the September 12th crash of a Piper PA-18 airplane in St. Mary's, Alaska. Also, to ask a question, select the question icon on the upper right hand of your screen. The icon is depicted with a question mark in a box. Type your question along with your name and media affiliation and submit it, and I will read the questions to Chair Homendy. The entire briefing, including the Q&A, will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel, NTSB Gov, later today. With that, I will turn it over to Chair Homendy.
Thanks, Peter. Again, my name is Jennifer Homendy, and I'm chair of the National Transportation Safety Board. First, I want to say on behalf of the National Transportation Safety Board, I want to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of the pilot who lost his life in this accident. Our hearts certainly go out to you in the hours, days, weeks, months ahead, and we are so very sorry for your loss. The NTSB is investigating the crash of a Piper PA-18-150 Super Cub, registration number N109T. That's November 109er Tango, that crashed under unknown circumstances near St. Mary's, Alaska. We have some preliminary information, but again, this is preliminary, so it can change over the next several hours, and we will provide updates as necessary. The pilot flew a Hunter and the Hunter's equipment to a remote location that's 64 miles northeast of St. Mary's, Alaska. It is, again, a remote location, a mountainous area. According to the Alaska Rescue Coordination Center, they received the first 406 emergency locator transmitter transmission about 8:48 p.m. last night. The plane appears to have crashed on departure. The pilot was the only person on board. And just to mention, because I'm sure I'll be asked, that our Alaska office was notified at about 1:23 a.m. Now, our investigator in charge is Elliot Simpson. He's a senior aviation accident investigator with the NTSB. He's done other accident investigations in Alaska. He's very experienced. We also have named the following parties to the accident investigation. It's Piper, Lycoming Engines, and the Federal Aviation Administration. We also have our family assistance team ready to work with the family and friends of the pilot who passed away. That representative will be, at least right now, Derek Freckleton. Now, the goals of the team that is heading out to the scene are to get access to the wreckage, to document the wreckage and any evidence, and to conduct interviews of any of the witnesses. We are working with the Alaska Air National Guard to provide helicopter transportation to our team and to the parties so that they can get to the remote location. So with that, that is very preliminary information. We don't have much more to share, but I am happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Okay, and just as a reminder, to ask a question, select the question icon on the upper right hand of your screen. The icon is depicted with a question mark and a box. Type your question along with your name and media affiliation and submit it. So the first question, can we confirm that Eugene Patola was the pilot of the plane that crashed?
Yeah, thanks for the question. The National Transportation Safety Board does not confirm who was or was not on a particular vehicle, including a plane involved in any of our accident investigations. I would refer you to the Congresswoman's website, where a news release was provided by her Chief of Staff, Anton McParland.
When they reach the crash site, when will they reach the crash site, and when do they expect first reports from that on-scene look?
So our investigators, we have an Anchorage office, but our investigators and our investigator in charge is on their way to Anchorage right now. They will arrive in Anchorage today, and we are working with the Alaska Air National Guard to get access to the site via a helicopter. And so, you know, depending on weather that the Alaska Air National Guard will really depend on when they can arrive. But certainly, our folks know it's important to arrive as soon as possible, and that is what the goal is.
Do we have any information about what the weather was like in the area he was flying in at the time of the crash?
Well, the closest weather observation site is St. Mary's. So we have which again is 64 miles away from the crash site. So we have a meteorologist right now at the NTSB looking at the weather, and that will continue as we move forward in the investigation.
Was the pilot flying a personal plane, or was it part of a company operation?
That is also something that we will look at as part of the investigation, including what regulatory part that the operation was flying under, whether it was Part 91, Part 135 regulations, and we'll be able to confirm that as the investigation proceeds.
Were there any witnesses, and if so, did they indicate any issues or reason for the crash?
Preliminary information is that there were witnesses, that this occurred on departure, but those witnesses still have to be officially interviewed by our investigator in charge, and that still has to be done.
What was the relationship between the pilot and the hunter who was dropped off?
Again, we will have to look at that, whether it was personal or for hire. We don't know at this time, but it's something we'll look at as part of the investigation.
Can you provide more details on the precise location of the crash?
As I mentioned, it's 64 miles northeast of St. Mary's. It's a very remote, mountainous location. That's all the information I can provide at this time.
Can you provide more specifics about where the plane took off from and where it was flying back to?
I do not have that information. That's information that we are working on confirming right now.
Okay. Let's see here. Did the pilot die on impact or of the crash, or later due to injuries?
We'll have to confirm that as part of the investigation.
Okay. When,
we'll work with the medical examiner on that. That will take some time.
Did the crash occur when it was still light? There are several components to this question. Did the crash occur when it was still light? What was the weather? We already talked about that. Did the emergency, do we have any information about the emergency indicator going off? So did the crash occur when it was still light out, and did the emergency indicator go off, and was there any indication that we have data from that?
Yeah, so the 406 emergency locator transmitter transmission was received by the Alaska Rescue Coordination Center at 8:48 p.m. last night, September 12th. So we have that information, and our Alaska office received notification via message at 1:23 a.m. That's the information that we have right now.
You said witnesses, plural. Can you elaborate? Assuming it was only a hunter being dropped off? Did someone meet the hunter, and could that be another witness?
The only information that I have at this time, and again, it's preliminary information, and that can change. Oftentimes, preliminary information can be inaccurate, so I just want to make sure that if you report this, that you couch that in terms of preliminary information. The only information that we have is that there were witnesses to the accident. How many? I do not know at this time, but we will be able to find that out when we arrive on scene.
We'll wait 10 more seconds. If there's any further questions, we've gone through all the questions that have been submitted, both by email as well. I'm just going to check the chat real quick.
Peter, I would just add that my understanding is for the crash, that sunset was at 8:30 p.m. And so the transmission that was received again was at 8:48 p.m.
Okay, and last question, what was the relationship between the pilot and the hunter?
We don't know that at this time. This is something that we will learn about as part of our investigations through interviews.
Thank you, Chair Homendy. This will conclude today's media availability. A recording of this event will be made available on NTSB's YouTube channel, NTSB Gov, later this afternoon. Follow-up questions should be directed to media relations, all one word, media relations at ntsb.gov, or you can call us at 202-314-6100. Thank you for participating, and good afternoon.